Intel stock has had an amazing year. So we can see year to date, the stock is up roughly 76%. And right now, the stock is sitting at roughly $47. But will 2024 be the same? What I want to do in today's episode is take a closer look at some of the risks this company can see in the upcoming year and kind of just share my overall thoughts. So let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so the first thing I want to do is just take a closer look at PE ratios. So right now, currently, PE ratio for Intel is sitting at 16.37. PE ratio forward will be roughly 49.36. Now, if we take a closer look at Intel's PE ratio forward 1 year, so roughly 12 months from now, the PE ratio drops down to 24.68. Now, this is, in my opinion, not too crazy, not too overvalued if expectations are met next year. All right, so scenario one is lose market share from AMD in server CPU. And when I'm looking at market share, I'm looking more at revenue share because I do believe that's more important. Right now, we are seeing cores per CPUs going up. Therefore, maybe shipments are not increasing as fast, but you are seeing average selling price per cores continue to be stable or going up. So revenue share, in my opinion, is more important than shipment shares. Right now, in the most recent quarter, Intel has roughly 70% of the revenue share right now, but it is important to understand that in the past few quarters, Intel, you can see in the presentation, has always mentioned that they have been experiencing competitive pressure. AMD does have a strong pipeline, and I'm going to show their pipeline. They've done really good here with Gen 4, and now we see Gen 5 expected to come out in 2024, but Intel also does have a pretty strong pipeline. For example, their fifth gen just released right now on Intel 7 on December 14th, I believe, and they do have a nice pipeline for the first half of 2024 with Sierra Forest and Granite Rapids shortly after, and both of these are going to be on Intel 3. One thing that is important to understand is the strength of these technologies is obviously important based on the manufacturing of Intel's power, and obviously AMD has TSMC, so Intel needs to make sure that their Intel 3 is strong versus the competition. Like I mentioned, Pat in Q3 did mention that they are still feeling competitive pressure from AMD, but their tech is improving. So another real question is it improving fast enough for them to stop the bleeding, or is this bleeding going to continue at least for one more year? Now, scenario two is lose AI edge in CPU to the Grace Hopper CPU, which is by NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, if we take a closer look, they chose Intel for their HGX platform. But for true AI solutions, NVIDIA recommends the Grace Hopper superchip. Right now, one of the big selling points for 5th gen Intel and 4th gen is pretty much their AI accelerators inside every core and how well they do in forms of AI solutions. And they do so well that, like I mentioned, NVIDIA chose them for their DGX H100, which is powered by Intel Xeon Platinum. Well, NVIDIA, with their Grace Hopper, they are having a platform which includes NVIDIA's Grace Hopper 200 Superchip, which is their CPU and their GPU. And they even kind of showcase how this NVIDIA GH200 is faster than a H100 with a x86 CPU. So obviously one of the risks here is that Intel can definitely lose market share in the AI space to Grace Hopper CPU. Now, scenario three is lose market share to ARM and other big tech players entering into the CPU space. At the end of this episode, like I mentioned, I'm going to showcase what are my probabilities of these happening, but I do believe that investors should know all these risks. So Amazon has, for example, the Graviton 3, and they just announced the Graviton 4. Microsoft has the Cobalt 100, which they expect to release later on. And we can see even big companies buying, like Oracle, buying CPUs from other ARM-based players like Ampere. So there are other architecture players out there in the ARM market that are combating here with x86. So scenario 3 is lose market share to ARM and some of these other other big tech player names. Now, I do want to say thank you for the support. I'm trying to hit 30,000 subs by the end of the year. I'm not sure if we can do it. We actually just hit 29,100, a lot faster than I thought we did. So maybe we can. I hope you guys are enjoying these episodes. I'm putting a lot of time in them and a lot of information here. So make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. If you want to learn more about the semiconductor market, I do have weekly exclusive video membership program. Click join to learn more. Special offer at fool.com/Jose and free newsletter at josenaharo.substack.com. Now, scenario number 4 is loose wallet spending to GPUs. Currently, most spending is on AI accelerator, which has put some pressure on CPUs. And we can see here from Intel's most recent earnings, they do mention that while the industry has seen some wallet share shift between CPU and accelerators over the last several quarters, there has been some signs of normalization. And kind of that might be a nice bullish trend, but we do know from AMD that the GPU market and the accelerator market is expected to grow dramatically. So this GPU market growth can obviously put even more pressure on CPUs. So scenario 4 is kind of, while we did see some normalization, what if that pressure comes back into the CPU market in 2024? Now, scenario 5 is the lack of growth in AI accelerator. So Pat believes that they can benefit from AI acceleration both in GPUs and CPUs. Like we mentioned, their Intel 5th gen and 4th gen are great for CPUs, are great for AI acceleration, but they also do have the Gaudi 320, which is expected to release in 2024. And right now they do have Gaudi 2. They do mention that they are kind of growing their proportion in the accelerator market in 2024 with Gaudi 2 leading most of it. And right now they are facing on growing enough supply to meet the overall demand. But obviously, kind of the release of Gaudi 3 and the overall competition here with the MI300, with the H100, with the H200, and the Blackwell 100, we do know that there's going to be too much pressure. So maybe Intel might lack the growth here in AI accelerators. Now, scenario 6 is no customer growth in their manufacturing due to maybe technological lag. Right now, it doesn't seem like that's the case, right? Intel is moving along with their 4-year plans, but it's becoming expensive, right? They have numerous plants globally. Luckily, most of them or all of them come with government subsidies or incentives. And the real question is, can their tech surpass TSMC? Right now, there's high competition here from TSMC and Samsung. For example, TSMC, they already have 3 nanometer out already, and 2 nanometer for high volume production is expected in 2025. They do mention on some bullish trend though is they are getting better than expected customer count for their 18A, and here we can kind of see their manufacturing node. Right now they are on Intel 4. That's where the kind of their new PC Meteor Lake just got released. I actually have it here, I believe. Nope, I don't have it here. But Intel 4, their Meteor Lake. Intel 3 is their Sierra Forest, which is gonna kind of happen in the second half and first half of 2023. And then we can see Intel 20A is expected for manufacturing in 2024. So obviously there is some opportunity for Intel to gain here in the manufacturing space. They do mention that they already have 3 18A customers confirmed, and they're looking to close one more in quarter 4, and they were only expected to have one in 2023, so they are moving pretty good here in their Intel 18A solution. The other thing that we are seeing is Intel is receiving the first high NA EUV machines, but obviously we can see in forms of process timing, they are lacking, and they believe they're going to lack in this tech until they hit Intel 18A. They do believe that Intel 20A will still be lacking versus TSMC's 3 nanometer solution. Outside of manufacturing, they're also getting a lot of customers in their packaging technology due to AI accelerators and AI solutions. So Intel does have that opportunity, but obviously they have that big competition from TSMC. Now, scenario 7 is a decline in the PC market share due to competitive pressure, right? We do have huge competition here in the CPUs. AMD has their 7000 series, and most likely their 8000 series will be appearing next year. Apple had just released the M3. Qualcomm is coming out with the Snapdragon Elite X. Now, Pat does mention that while the market has always had this competition. They don't really see ARM architecture being much of a competition this year in 2024. One of the bullish trends, though, here is the PC market is expected to grow dramatically in 2024. Not dramatically, it's expected to kind of see that turnaround, and we start to see growth in 2024 and then growth in 2025. So I want to say those are the 7 scenarios and 7 risks that Intel can see. Now I just want to share my overall thoughts. I have low probability, probable, or high probability of it happening. Scenario 1, losing market share from AMD in the server CPU side. I want to say this is probable. Maybe last year I would have put high probability, but they are increasing really well with their 5th gen, and we are expected to get Sierra Forest, and I forget what was the other one, Granite Rapids, in 2024. So obviously that can stop the bleeding. So I'm going to put that more in probable. Lose AI edge to CPU to Grace Hopper CPU. The Grace CPU, while it is strong in the AI market, I do believe companies are still going to use x86 solutions, at least for now. And this is the first generation of NVIDIA, so I do believe it's going to take some time before the market puts it. I still believe there is a probability, not a high probability though, so I'm going to leave that at probable. Now, lose market share to big tech CPU and ARM based. So while they might lose market share, I do believe the market is going to grow, and I'm going to put this in low probability. No one's going to, I don't think Amazon is going to go full on Graviton 4. I don't think Microsoft is going to go full on Cobalt 100. I don't think everybody's going to go out there and buy tons and tons of Ampere. So I do believe that that's going to be low probability. Now, scenario 4 is lose wallet spending to GPUs. I personally believe that's probable, not high probability, but if we are seeing kind of this increase in the AI accelerator market, it could put some pressure there. Now, scenario 5 is lack growth in AI accelerators. I'm going to say this one is low probability. The main reason is this market is growing so quickly and it's still supply constrained. So Intel is going to gladly gain market share here one way or another, so I'm going to put that as low probability. Scenario 6, no customer growth in manufacturing and technology lag there. Right now, we already see Intel 4, while it wasn't anything breakthrough on their Meteor Lake, it did come out okay, so we can see they are moving pretty good. Intel 3 is expected to come out, so I'm going to say low probability, especially since they already have the ASML machines. They're expected to get more next year, and they already have plenty of customers in this space, so low probability. Now, a decline in the PC market share due to competitive pressure from Qualcomm, from AMD, and from Apple. I'm going to say this is high probability, but while they might lose market share, the market is going to get bigger, so they are going to be growing in revenue. So not necessarily a bad thing in my opinion. So I want to say this was supposed to take a closer look at all the risks that Intel could see in 2024, and I do believe at the moment, it does seem like Intel is actually set for a good year in forms of returns. I do believe they could meet analyst expectations, and they could even exceed analyst expectations, because none of the risk, in my opinions, throw me a red flag. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I recently just did a very similar episode to this on AMD and Nvidia, so make sure to check out those videos. I'll post the links up here. I'm guessing you guys might click this one.